Unruly, unruly, mad ass. Who keeps bringing more?
Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Raihan. I'm a third-year medical student, and in my spare time I like to make YouTube videos. Now for this video I've teamed up with Tailored Tutors to bring you this video, and it is our top 5 mistakes that A-level biology students make in their exams or in their revision process. So Tailored Tutors is an online revision platform with a great range of videos for A-level biology, explaining the complex topics in biology in a manner which is understandable. Now I've used these videos myself because I watch these videos before I tutor some of my students as well. So I've managed to get you guys a discount code for the courses on offer by Tailored Tutors. So if you want to see that, there's a link in the description below. Make sure you use this coupon code up here. Now let me quickly play you guys a testimonial video of a couple of students and what they've said about Tailored Tutors, and then we can start with the actual video.
Oh my god, there's so much content, and we need to know all the content in detail. So you need to know every single little bit of the spec.
I got to a personal stage where I was literally sat there with a textbook and I would sit and cry, and I would just be like, do you know what, I don't understand any of it, I don't want to learn it.
So, you know, in the textbook it can go on forever and ever, and half the stuff you don't need to know.
I think I found it on like social media ad or something, and I was like, oh, do you know what, I'll just give it a go, like see what this Tailored Tutors thing is like. And I sat there, and for the first time in about 4 or 5 months I enjoyed biology.
It's just a much easier way of revising than putting out a textbook and writing reams and reams, which you can just write a tenth of that and get the same grade.
So now we can start with the video, and these are our top 5 mistakes that we've noticed A-level biology students continuously make throughout AS and A2. To begin with, number 1. Now when I was doing my exams as well, right, I was having a bit of a problem. Now the problem was I knew the content, I knew the topic very well. Say for example DNA replication. Now I would understand the topic myself and I could explain it to someone who didn't understand DNA replication. However, in the exams, for some reason when I was doing the past papers I wasn't getting the marks. Now the reason for this is because key terms. Now I can't emphasize how important this is in A-level biology, because regardless of how well you know a certain topic like DNA replication, if you haven't got the key terms like this, then in the mark scheme when they mention key terms like this, then and you haven't put them in your answer, well, you're not going to get the marks because they require you to have certain keywords, and if you don't have these keywords then they won't give you the mark for it. It's not writing a story about DNA replication that's going to get you the marks. It's hitting them specific keywords that they want to see and they want to read, and then you've got, you know, you're ticking off the marks. Now the second thing that I want to mention is command words. So what I mean by this is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's sometimes you get questions like describe the graph or explain the graph. Now these 2 words, describe and explain, they have different meanings. So what I mean by this is when they say describe, what they're meaning is, what they want you to do is describe literally what do you see in the graph. Like, do you make sure you put in the figures, because you get marks for putting in figures from the graph. However, when they say explain, what they mean is explain why this is happening. So there's a difference between describe and explain. Now remember to read the question twice, because sometimes you can miss these crucial command words. I've done it plenty of times, and you know, you have to just get used to this. Comes with practice, like exam practice, so don't worry too much about that. As long as you're practicing, and just remember to read every question twice just to understand the question properly. What does a question want you to do? The third thing, right, is leaving your revision too late. Now for some people biology is quite easy. Like for me, I enjoyed biology, so therefore I enjoyed revising biology, and I told myself, you know what, I need to focus on economics, I need to focus on chemistry, so I leave biology till a couple of weeks before the exam. Now, it was a mistake which I made myself, which I regret doing, because biology is so content heavy. You cannot leave it to cram, you cannot leave it late. You have to start early. Now, another reason why I tell you to start early is because the thing with memorizing, right, you have to memorize at certain periods. So say for example, I look through some of the content in biology today, then it's best to then look through it tomorrow, and then after I look through it tomorrow, look through it a month later, and then after I've looked through it a month later, then look through it 2 months later. And this is what is the key to memorizing content. And this is something that I've realized in medical school, where, you know, it's not about reading through one piece of paper 10 times in one day. It will help you, but the best way to learn, or best way to memorize, is go through it once on one day, and then again the next day, again a month later, again 2 months later, etc. If you want to see my medical school memorization technique, I'll put in a link in the description below, and you can find the video for that, so you can apply that to biology as well. The fourth thing that I want to mention is past papers. Now, with biology, right, when I was doing my A-levels, I thought past papers for biology aren't that important. For chemistry, past papers were crucial because the questions get recycled again and again, and literally they hardly change any of the words. With biology, however, I thought, oh, you know what, it's not as important. With biology, memorization is important. And I was actually scared, because I was thinking, you know, the time that I spent doing past papers, if I spent that time reading through and revising my notes, I would probably spend that time more efficiently and more effectively. And that was my logic behind not doing past papers for biology in my first year of A-level. And it was a big mistake. So what I would recommend is to do past papers for biology, because I'm telling you, it gets you familiar with the exam technique, number one, it gets you familiar with the questions, number two, and you'll notice the trends in the questions as well. Although the words might be different, the questions are still the same, which is why I would recommend you do as many past papers as you possibly can. Now, Tailored Tutors have also recommended you do the old spec past papers, because the questions are still very similar to the new spec questions. Now, there might be one or two topics which you're not familiar with, which is fine. As long as you know which topics they are, just skip them out. However, in general, those topics, the majority of the topics in the old spec past papers will come up in your exam as well. Now, tip number 5. This is also very important, and something I think, in my opinion, that teachers don't really emphasize to their students enough. Now, when you're doing your exam, right, and when you're writing your answers to these questions, I've noticed a lot of people are writing stories, like full-on stories for answers. Now, the thing is, yeah, like I've tutored quite a lot of students for A-level biology, and I've done a lot of past papers, and when I ask them to do, you know, when I give them a 10-marker question, I really cannot be bothered to be reading through a massive story, you know, just to give 10 marks. Like 2-3 pages of writing for 10 marks, like, is it worth it? Like, and that's just me, right? Imagine putting yourself in the examiner's shoe, right? You're marking hundreds of papers probably a day. Are you wanting to read through paragraphs and paragraphs just to give 5 marks, just to give 10 marks to a student? It's not ideal, is it? And you're getting paid for this. Like, you want to be getting paid as much money as you possibly can, and those students that are writing stories for their answers will kind of annoy you and kind of set you back in how much money you can earn in the day. So what I did was I used to bullet point what I thought was gonna get me the mark. Write one short sentence per mark. Don't forget to include at least one key term per sentence, and then each sentence should be a bullet point. So the reason I say this is just because it makes the examiner's job a lot easier, and they'll be more willing in my opinion, I think they'll be more willing to give you the mark for your answers. Don't be writing stories, because it will put them off reading it, and they might even miss some of the key terms that you've mentioned, because you know, they might be marking it at 10 o'clock at night while watching X Factor. And yeah, it's not ideal, but it can happen. You never know. So to avoid them being tired and you know, missing marks that you've mentioned, just bullet point so that you're making sure that they see your marks and your key terms and your answer. Those are my 5 top mistakes that I've noticed A-level biology students make. Thank you for Tailored Tutors for helping me come up with those 5 mistakes that A-level biology students make as well. And again, if you'd like to see if you'd like to sign up to Tailored Tutors, make sure you use my discount code, which I'll put again up there, and there's a link in the description for their website, which takes you onto the courses that they have on offer. Now, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.
Move for me with the pasta. I'm building up a house where they raise me. You move with me, I go crazy. Don't switch on me, I got big plans.